Hello and welcome to another An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about Puppet Master movies, numbers 6 through 9, which were released over a period of about 13 years, as you can see. And the Puppet Master franchise returned to small screens after a break in 1998 with Curse of the Puppet Master 6. And it's continued to stutter along ever since, outliving the very video stores that originally made it a hit, with what I believe is the 14th film due for release this year, or 15th if you include the semi-canonical Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys crossover. In any case, the sixth film, Curse of the Puppet Master, is apparently set somewhere between the first two movies, restoring the puppets to their original murderous marionettes incarnation where they were bad guys. It's about a young man named Tank who is hired to carve the 440 pieces needed to assemble a new puppet for the seemingly benign Dr. Magru. The good doctor, of course, is nothing of the sort and intends to expand the lineup of killer puppets for his own malevolent purposes. How the puppets actually ended up in Dr. Magru's possession will never be explained. Continuity is not a major consideration for Puppet Master films. We just have to assume that they did, and then they went back to the hotel that they were in the first two films for some reason. The franchise's lack of consideration for continuity is underlined by the second film, released the following year, which changes the death date of Andre Toulon yet again, and also jettisons Puppet Master 2's explanation of how he learned to make the puppets. It's another movie set in World War II, mashing some more Nazi killing, together with a plotline featuring the demon Suket from Puppet Master 4 and 5. I'll skip to the ninth film, for which the presumably dwindling fan base would have, had to wait until 2010 to see. Which also has a World War II setting, though it moves the action to the United States as the puppets take on some Axis agents and thwart their nefarious plans. You'll have noticed that I skipped the eighth film. That's because that 2003 offering is a movie-length version of those clip show episodes that TV shows sometimes do to save time and money, and it features almost no new content. A cynic, and I am one, would probably suggest that Full Moon were looking for the cheapest possible way to gouge some more cash out of the franchise. So, we've got a few films to cover here. There's definitely some themes to discuss in looking at these four films, so let's dive in and discuss them. So first of all, Full Moon Entertainment were very public about the fact that they intended Puppet Master 5 to be the end of the franchise, and we can see how that's worked out. But they did, to give them credit, stick to that intent for 4 years, which is a lot better than the people behind Friday the 13th did after they released their alleged final chapter. They had another movie out within 12 months. Eventually, however, Full Moon made the call to restart the Puppet Master series, and that decision was very much motivated by money. Video rental stores had done big business with the first 5 Puppet Master films, and they were vocal in wanting more, and Full Moon, meanwhile, had lost their distribution deal with Paramount, which had hurt them significantly on the financial front. Reviving Puppet Master was an opportunity, in their eyes, I think, to staunch the leak of funds. Unfortunately, the problem that Puppet Master 6 was supposed to solve is also the biggest problem with the actual movie itself, money. And it's going to be a major weakness of all the following films as well. The surprisingly good for a budget movie puppetry effects of the previous films appear in these movies only via archive footage. This footage is noticeably better executed than any newly filmed puppet sequences, which were all produced via much more simplistic and cheaper techniques. Sadly, this makes the puppets seem, far more like ordinary puppets rather than living ones they're supposed to be. And as the puppetry gets more stiff and wooden, pun fully intended, so does the acting. Whether this is because Full Moon couldn't attract the same quality of actors with the rates they were now paying, or because they skimped on the casting process itself, I don't know, but it's certainly an issue, with some of the performances in Puppet Master 9 in particular being quite painful to watch. It's difficult to judge the performances in Puppet Master 8 because they're so brief, because so much of the film is just reused footage. Secondly, an even bigger problem with the franchise at this point than the lack of the money is that it ultimately seems to have led to a lack of commitment. These movies are being hacked out for the minimum price possible and the minimum effort possible to maximise the return on them. And I can't entirely include the 6th and 7th film in that criticism. The former at least has some bombastic sense of grisly silliness, while the latter induces a lot of new puppet designs, justifying their relative crudity by placing them as prototypes for the franchise's iconic figures like Blade, Tunneler, and Six Shooter. It's honestly a little bit of a shame that neither of those films had the budget of Puppet Master 5, which looked a lot better but was kind of sloppily and lazily written. Either of those scripts plus the kind of money that they spent on Puppet Master 5 and the puppet effects they had would have been like a really good little entry in the series. Unfortunately, after those two movies, we get a 4-year gap again, and then we get Puppet Master The Legacy, Puppet Master 8, which, as previously mentioned, is almost all reused footage. There's maybe 10 or 15 minutes at most of newly filmed content. A lazier film would be hard to make, and that lack of effort definitely continues into the ninth film. Its script is tedious throughout, achieving, in its best moments, mediocrity, and far and often just clunking really badly. It's not a good film, and from all accounts, neither are the subsequent ones. Since then, with ever-decreasing budgets adversely impacting the effects, the scripts, and the acting alike, is there really anything to recommend these films? Well, no, not really. There's certainly a downward trend in quality from film to film. 6 and 7 still show snatches of inventiveness that somewhat compensate for the clumsy effects, mediocre acting, and wandering attempts at German accents. But the last two, 8 and 9, are low-effort dreck. I mean, as a clip show, Puppet Master 8 is probably the nadir of cynicism, but I can't really call 9 any better. The plot's nonsense. It claims, for instance, that blowing up a single factory will destroy America's war effort. It's also horribly acted and leans lazily into tacky racist tropes. Not that there are any non-tacky racist tropes, but, you know what I mean. So alas, despite the fact that, deadly vigilante puppets is a concept that could be great fun if done well, Full Moon has just not been able to deliver on the done well part end-to-end on a film since probably Puppet Master 4. Even Puppet Master 5, the script wasn't there. No doubt they're going to keep making these movies for as long as they think they can make some money off them, but I, for one, don't intend to delve any further into the franchise. You can see its decay from film to film. It's clearly run its point by this stage, in my opinion, run its course. So that is Puppet Master 6, 7, 8, and 9. Next time, a movie that's not a sequel. The Nameless, a Spanish independent horror film from 1999. Obviously, that is the English language version of the name. I'm not going to attempt to mangle the original Spanish name. But that's next time. In the meantime, thanks for watching this one, and I hope you enjoyed it.